Hi, whoever's watching. I'm Darcy. I'm thread painting. This is the little space, the little ghost nebula from the Hubble Space Telescope. And I'm blending different colors of thread together. These are DMC embroidery thread. I use those because they're easy to find and have the most colors. Right now I'm using a single strand to blend the colors better so that it gets down between the other threads. I've done a bunch of galaxies before, but this one I'm doing to keep the ones I did before I did for the Science Museum, and these the Hubble Space Telescope you can look up like whatever date. So I'm doing my kids' birthdays. So this is my youngest son's birthday, what Hubble took a picture of on his birthday. So far I've filled in this black because it's pretty boring to watch. So I went ahead and filled it in. And then I did like the outline of the shape of the nebula. Changed some of the colors of the threads so they wouldn't get lost in the black, and I would know which colors to use without having to look constantly. The nebula looks kind of like an eye. So that's what I'm working on now, is the center part. I got my BFA in fiber arts at UCO. I don't think they have the program anymore. It was formation art. And I focused on fibers. It was mostly like weaving and paper making, book making, felting. I've done a lot of embroidery, but it was mostly like as part of other projects. And a couple of years ago, I did a, I guess it's been more years than that now. I did a 365-day embroidery project that was a 1-inch circle every day. And they're all embroidered, but all had to be circles. And that ended up being part of Art Now, which is how I got into Oklahoma Contemporary. I got hooked on it. If you like embroidery, it's pretty addictive. But it can definitely be monotonous. I think it's relaxing and fun. Yeah, I go through a lot of TV shows and movies when I embroider, sometimes music or books. Mainly things that I don't have to look at. Lots of streaming shows, especially since the pandemic. I'm mixing some of this darker teal color in down here. I can't think of anything I've been watching right now. Mind went blank. I watch basically anything that doesn't have subtitles, since I can't look at the screen and read it. My favorite show last year, or this year I guess, was probably Umbrella Academy. This thing I'm using is an embroidery stand. This one's by Hawthorne Handmade. Some things it's easier to use a stand on, like if you're doing French knots or things that take 2 hands, or if you need your embroidery to stay in one place. For a camera, it keeps it steady. I've learned that if I usually embroider smaller than this, and it's more trouble for the stand to hold it than just to hold it with my hand if it's too small. But it kind of gives your arm a break from holding it. These embroideries can be tough on your joints. Because these little ones, I've already worked on this one for probably, I don't know, 30 hours maybe. Yeah, it's a lot of time. I usually work smaller so they don't take as long, but anywhere between like 20 and 80 hours for some of them. The bulk of this one is done, other than the filling in the colors and the detail work on top. Other than space ones are probably my favorite ones to do. I do a lot of commission work with like people portraits or animal portraits, or like masterpiece recreations out of thread. My latest one of those was a Keith Haring self-portrait. I did a lot of Christmas gifts that people had ordered. Yeah, I did a lot of commissions, a lot of pets, some wedding portraits. And those are always nice to do. A lot of extra pressure because you don't want to mess it up. These will get really thick wherever there's a lot of thread going through the fabric. Sometimes I have to switch to smaller needles to get through it. The one I'm using right now is a beading needle. The fabric I'm working on is linen. say, I don't really work large. The largest thing I've ever done was not all that big, probably like 8 inches by 8 inches. But it was more of a, I guess, collective piece that I worked on. I did another 365-day project that was a year of food. And I did, they're all miniature foods. And I gave away all of the small ones for anyone that donated money to some kind of hunger organization or people that needed food. And at the same time, I did a piece where I stitched the same food onto one piece of fabric. I ended up having 368 different foods on it. That was probably the biggest one. That burnt me out of doing year-long projects for a little while. It was a lot of work. It's pretty fun to do, but every time I started one since, I never make it very far. It just seems like more work on top of already embroidering most of the day. Since this is what I do for a job. And I don't use knots on the back of this so that I don't run into them whenever it gets really dense. You'll end up hitting a knot every time because there's so much thread. And I stitch over the same areas so much that it's pretty hard to get the thread out once it's in there. Occasionally, if I mess up an area or don't like how it turned out, I'll have to cut out that area of thread and start it over because it doesn't just come unraveled. I'm teaching a thread painting class this winter, and we'll learn how to blend colors, how to get different different ideas in your work, like movement, or if you want highlights, shadows, all those things, how to do all that with thread. I'll hopefully give you a good basis where you can keep going on your own. I think it'll be a lot of fun. If you need a relaxing activity where you learn stuff, this thing is has a magnet on it to hold the needles. highly recommend. People don't like when you lose needles. Especially in carpet or a couch. I found they are not a fan. I'm not sure how many colors I've used on this so far. It'll probably, like, I think the average is maybe 30, 40 colors. I like these really colorful ones. I also love doing grayscale. It's a whole different challenge to try to get as many colors without having a wide palette available. Unless I'm trying to get all of the background colors filled in. And then after that, I'll be able to go in on top with extra details, like the fuzzy areas from different gases or stars or whatever to make them stand out more. If I was going to do them now, they would just get lost. So when I run out of thread, whenever I'm thread painting, I just pull it through and let it hang on the back. Let's see if I can flip this and show the back. The back is just really chaotic. I think the backs look neat too. And this one looks almost white by itself, but it's a really pale blue. can get the hazy area. Notice I'm following the direction of the way the stitches are going. I'm following the way the gases are going in the nebula. Because some of them look like they're radiating out from the center, and others look like they're swirling around the sides. Decided I don't like that needle. It's not quite smooth. It kept getting caught. Just like any other media, you gotta find the right tools for you. Sometimes if you're not using good tools, it'll be a miserable experience, but it'd be better if you try different needles or fabric or thread or whatever. The tools for embroidery are pretty basic, but what works for some people doesn't work for others. personal projects. I have a couple of portraits I want to do. I'm mainly working on in between projects now, personal projects that I've wanted to do for a while. I'll probably start taking commissions again pretty soon. But as slow as the mail and stuff has been, I've held off on that for a little while. I haven't planned any major projects as far as like trying to show in art galleries. Just with COVID, not knowing what's going on. Because I've had work get stuck. And I finally have all of it back, but it's gotten stuck a couple of different places this year when things closed. I'd like to put together gallery show wall miniature portraits. So I may start working on that this year. The miniature portraits are usually about 2 inches tall. I usually skip around a lot whenever I'm doing this, so that I don't ever really finish one area before another. It all kind of finishes at the same time. Mostly because if I work slower, I can see if I need to change things or if something's not looking right. And the fabric will sometimes sag or bunch up in different areas. So I try to keep the tension on the fabric the same. So this is it's a pretty thin fabric, and with as much thread as I'm adding, it'll change the structure of it a little if I don't try to keep it spread out. lines sketched out in black with black thread to remind me where like the gases are going to be, so that they're easy enough to cover up and fill in later, and they won't stand out. If I was to use white or something, it would be harder to blend in, and I would have to pull it out rather than just cover it up. And I'm just working from a photograph on my phone. Sometimes I'll print one out, but I found the colors are never as good on the printouts as they are on the phone. And then I can zoom in on different areas if I need to. I have not made any resolutions this year for anything. Just seems kind of like a go with the flow New Year's. I had a lot of plans for last year that didn't happen, so maybe I'll look those up again and see what I can do for this year. Some things that I've been meaning to do for a long time, like get an art website up, Maybe that'll be the year for it. I'm going back in parts of this to give a little more shadow. This is another shade of blue. Whenever I'm thread painting, I basically want so many color variations that you can't really see the thread anymore. So no one strand stands out. Unless you need it to for a highlight or something. Like the star in the middle, it'll stay there, but it'll have more of a haze around it after I get the rest filled in. And sometimes you'll have to change the color of the thread you're using, depending on if it's a light area or dark area that you're going for. Because this stands out more on the light blue, but in the black it sort of blends in more. Which works for what I need it for, but it would just fade into the background. So if I needed it to stand out, I'd have to pick a different color. And like most things, let's practice. Seeing what your eyes blend together. teaching a thread painting class this winter, starting in January. It's a 4-week class, all through Zoom, so you don't have to live in Oklahoma to take it. Bill is on Mondays from 6 to 8. I'm also doing a Friday night workshop. I think that's January 16th, 15th, whatever the Friday is that week. But that one will be just basic learning some stitches, embroidery. Any skill level is welcome for either class. This part is going to end up having a whole lot of colors mixed in. It's a mix of blues and greens and grays. With a little bit of purple. Start blocking this area out with some green. It'll end up being mostly colored in the end, but it'll give it a different base color other than the gray. I'm going a different direction here than I was with the blue, because the inside looks more like a swirling center before it radiates out.